Hi, my name's Elizabeth. I chose Skating in Central Park by Agnes Tate as my painting, and the lessons that I chose to do, well, the standards that I chose to do for my lessons. For social studies, I chose, my grade is first grade. I chose for students to identify the goods that people make and services that people provide for each other. Language arts, I did write narratives that account two or more appropriately sequenced events and details. Math, I chose using addition and subtraction within 20 to solve word problems, using pictures as a representation of the problem. And then for science, I did weather, because the picture I chose is snow. So I did weather and correlating weather data with seasonal changes. And so for social studies, the first thing I thought about in the picture was the people, because there are so many people in the picture. And I was thinking about, well, how can I relate this to social studies? And the painting that I chose, the artist actually painted Central Park by memory. So I thought about trying to go somewhere with that, but I knew I couldn't get anywhere with that, so I decided to go with, since it's relatable to a first grade standard, I decided to go with the goods and services, because obviously everybody in this picture is wearing some type of good that they bought. Some service provided that good, you know. So that's what I went with there. Basically my lessons are for the kids, I want them to find goods themselves in the picture. So my objectives were to find goods in the painting. I figure they're going to say like ice skates or hats or coats or sleds, you know, something like that. And then they had to organize their goods on a paper, and then they did another worksheet. Well, they would be doing another worksheet with services, since services aren't really shown in this picture. So they would do another worksheet on services, showing what services go with what goods or whatever. For my language arts, I had the kids pick two things about the painting, two things in the painting, ideas, whatever, in the painting that they liked, two of them, and then they got to write a story about whatever they wanted, as long as it focused on the two things that they chose. So let's say they chose a lady in a red coat and a dog. Well, then they could write a story on a lady in a red coat and a dog. It doesn't have to be Central Park, what's going on in the painting. And then they just had to make sure that there was a sequence of events, so they used each of those two things separately in different parts of their story. For my math lesson, I did word problems that were based off of the painting. So there are a bunch of people, you know, there are 6 people in a red coat and 2 people in a blue coat. Well, how many people were there? That type of thing. And I would just explain how to do the word problem, how to, you know, break down a word problem first, and then the kids would do them themselves in the journals. And then for my science one, I did seasons, because it is snowing in the picture. That is automatically what came to my mind. And so I had the kids watch a video on the 4 seasons and the weather related with those seasons, and then they had to do a cutout worksheet where they put matching weather under the corresponding season. That was their assessment for that. And then their art project was a tree, one tree cut into 4 sections, and each different section was a different season. So they took 4 different types of construction paper and made rectangles, and then they glued those rectangles next to each other and drew a tree, you know, a tree trunk, and then the branches in each different color of construction paper was a different season. And they could do it how they wanted, you know, they could choose the background colors that they wanted, as long as they, you know, somewhat related to the season. And then for winter, they would just do branches with some snow around, and then fall, they would do, you know, change leaves changing colors. pretty, like, simple stuff. For the science and art project, that's the first thing I saw was the snow. That was the first thing that came to my mind. For social studies, I said the first thing that came to mind was the fact that she painted this out of memory, but I couldn't relate to that, so I looked back at the standards first, and then the first standard that popped out at me that related to the picture in my mind was the goods and services. For language arts, that was automatically my first idea, because when I first saw the painting, I was automatically imagining stories that could be going on in the painting. So, of course, I was going to have the kids write a story about it, or do something with it. I didn't want to directly make them write a story about the painting, because then that, you know, that blocks their creativity. They can't, I mean, to an extent, they can go where they want with it, but at the same time, I wanted them to have full creative, you know, control. And then for math, I kind of struggled with math at first. I thought about just doing, like, something with addition, but then I was like, I mean, obviously you just count the people and that's it. There's not much to really go off of there. So I also looked at the math standards, and that's when I saw the word problem one, and I was like, that is perfect, because this is a real scene and you can make real life related word problems for that one. And